So those were the easier ones. Now they get into some crazy looking ones. We're doing the same thing. If we're going to add them, they have to end up being like terms, which means everything but the front numbers should match up. But we have to simplify them first. I have 4x square root of 27u cubed. So I'm going to have 4x, and I got to simplify that part under the square root. 27. I can factor that.
Nine.
9 times 3. So 9 times 3. I have a u to the third. Since it's odd, I want to change that to
A u minus, oh, u, yeah, and a u3.
and a u
2.
2. Right, it took out 1, so I got 2 left. U times u squared. Taking out my perfect squares. The square root of 9 is 3. The square root of u squared is u. So I have 3u times 4x, which would be 12ux. And then I have the square root of 3u left over, right? Now on that other one, we've got a minus u out in front, and then we got to simplify the square root of 75ux squared. 75 can be factored. 25 and 3. So 25 times 3. We can't do anything with the u, even though it's odd. There's nothing you can do with u, so we're going to leave the u. And then we have an x squared, which is already even, so we're going to leave the x squared. And then we're going to take out our square roots. So we can take out the square root of 25, which is 5. Whoops, I'm crossing out my 3 with my 5. Square root of x squared is?
1.
Just an x, right? So 5x times negative u would be negative 5. I'm going to put them alphabetically, ux, because I want to see that they match up, and they do. And then underneath my radical, I still have a 3 and a u. Just like here under my radical, I have a 3 and a u. So everything should match up except for those front numbers. The front numbers then is what we're going to do. I have 12 minus 5. 12 minus 5 is 7. So my answer is going to be that I have 7ux square root of 3u. So number 8. We got the w squared in front, and then we got the square root of 8wy to the 4th. 8 is not a perfect square. Can we simplify 8?
Yep.
Yep.
4.
4 times 2. Again, we can't do anything with a plain w, and the y to the 4th is even, so we want to leave that as y to the 4th, so we can take out our square roots. Square root of 4 is 2. Square root of y to the 4th,
2.
Y to the 2nd. So, doesn't matter if you write it as 2y squared, w squared, or vice versa. I'm going to put them alphabetically because that's how I like them. So I'm going to write it as 2w squared y squared, square root of 2w. If you switch your w's and your y's around, that's okay. You just want to know that they can be switched around. Now, on the second part, we've got a minus 4y squared out in front. Then we've got that 32w to the 5th. 32, the biggest perfect square that divides into 32.
Four. 16.
16. 16 is my better choice, otherwise I got a big long problem. Remember doing that one?
Okay.
So 16 times 2. My w to the 5th. That one has an odd exponent, so I need to fix that. What am I going to do?
W, add another W.
W and W to the fourth. So I can take out my square roots. The square root of 16 is? Square root of 16 is?
4.
4. The square root of W to the fourth is?
W2.
W squared. So I have 4 times negative 4, which is negative 16. W squared, Y squared, square root of 2W. Notice everything should match up after our leading numbers. We got a W squared, Y squared, square root of 2W after both of them. Means I can subtract. 2 minus 16 is negative 14. So negative 14, W squared, Y squared, square root of 2W. Going to be my answer. So the good thing about these ones is when you get to this last step, if they don't match up, you know there's a mistake somewhere and you got to go back and fix it. All right. Number 9. We've got a 6u, and then we got to simplify the square root of 18x to the 7th. So what should we do with the 18?
Nine times 2.
9 times 2. What should we do with the x to the 7th?
X, and then another X, 6.
X times x to the 6th.
X.
So now when we take out our square roots, we can take out
9.
square root of 9 is 3.
X.
And we can take out the square root of x to the 6th, right?
Yep.
So we're going to take out x to the 3rd. So 3 times 6 is 18. Again, I'm going to put them alphabetically. So u x to the 3rd square root of 2x is what we get when we simplify that. Plus x squared is out in front. We need to simplify the 8x to the 3rd u squared. So 4 times 2 is 8. What else should we do? X times x squared for our x to the 3rd. And leave the u squared because it has an even exponent. So taking out our perfect squares, we can take out. Square root of 4 is 2. Square root of x squared is an x, and the square root of u squared, u. So when we put those all together, we're going to get 2. There's a u. X times x squared is x to the 3rd, right? And then I have 2x underneath my radical. So you'll notice after each of my leading coefficients, I've got a u x cubed square root of 2x. They match up all nice like they're supposed to. So I can go ahead and add 18 plus 2 is 20. U x to the 3rd square root of 2x for my answer.